The mighty Storm versus the little feeble baby Roosters Friday night. And no, I jest. The Roosters, I think that they've shown, what I loved about the Roosters run this last kind of month or even 6 weeks is that they often get conflated because they're a glamour club. They're not gritty. Geez, they've been gritty this lot. Like things haven't been going their way and they've just found a way to get the job done. But this weekend, Xavier Coates, Pappenhausen and Tonamapea are all out. Olam returns at centre. Remus Smith on the wing. Alec McDonald joins the bench. Roosters team news. Billy Smith, Manu, Suali'i, all out. Momorowski, Corey Allen are the new centres. Jackson Paulo returns on the wing. Momorowski hasn't played since round 9. Paulo hasn't played since round 12. How do you see this one playing out, Smithy?
Oh, this is a good game. Cracking game. Old rivals, of course, the Storm and the Roosters. Go back to those, sort of pre-grand final 18. They were two of the better teams in the competition through that little period. Well, just on paper, I think Melbourne bounced back, and the Roosters, they had a pretty tough task in front of them, travelling to Melbourne, injuries, of course, but they are on a hot run. Of both sides, you would say that the Roosters are bringing a better form line into this game. They've picked up 6 consecutive wins, so in this competition, that's a hard thing to do. But out of those 6 wins, this is the toughest of the lot, as far as opposition is concerned. So now with those players out, I actually think it makes them a dangerous proposition for Melbourne. I really do. Given what we spoke about earlier about their mindset over the last 6 weeks with these 6 wins in a row, it's been sudden. They've been in this situation for 6 weeks now, Kempy.
Yeah.
Whereas Melbourne, they only find themselves now this week facing elimination. Whereas the Roosters, they've been playing under these conditions now for over a month.
Yeah.
So, number one, they bring a better form line into this game, and 2, they're accustomed to feeling like, well, this could be our last game, and they've gone and produced every time. The only thing that will hurt them is the major injuries that they got right now, and will they be outgunned by a Storm outfit? Now they've had a couple of injuries themselves from last weekend. Xavier Coates ankle, he hasn't got up for this match. We all know about Ryan Pappenhausen as well. Young Tonamapea has picked up an injury, so Olam returns, Remus Smith returns, as you mentioned. They need to step up, though, Melbourne. Like last week was poor. I think they'd offer those same sort of feelings about the way they play, particularly the key position players. Their finals, I wasn't aware of this, right? But their finals record over the last couple of years, if you include last week's result, it doesn't look great. They've lost 4 of their past 5 finals matches, Kempy.
Wow.
So it's not good reading from that point of view. But, I think if there's a team or a coach that can really turn around form from one week to another, it's the Melbourne Storm side.
Yeah, look, this is almost... I almost feel like the Storm are in the worst position possible in regards to they've got all the pressure, they're at home, their form's not great. You could argue the game plan has been laid out on how to beat them and how to take the spine out of the game. Whereas the Roosters, they go in, no pressure. I mean, at the moment, the odds are $1.27 for the Storm, $3.78 for the Roosters. Now, when you look at this team list, I think that $3.78 is outrageous. James Tedesco versus Meaney, Ponga versus Warbrick, Momorowski versus Seve, Allen versus Olam, Smith versus Polo on the wing. That backline, although the Roosters are absolutely missing the top-tier players, is their backline that much worse than the Storm? I don't think it is. And then we know what the forward pack's like. I think this is a 50-50 game. I really do.
So what are you saying? The punters should jump on Roosters?
I think there's value there.
Gamble responsibly, of course.
Gamble responsibly. But when you look at this roster, I think it's a bit of a myth that they're completely, understrength. Outgunned. I think it's a myth. Okay, then you go to the back line. Sam Walker, Luke Keary versus Hughes Munster. I mean, we're talking about Kiri, 3-time premiership winning 6.
Yep.
Sam Walker, we all know how good he is, and we know how good Munster Hughes is. Then you go to the forward pack. Kamakamitha versus Baker. Kamakamitha a little bit more experienced, but I wouldn't say he's way, way better.
Mm-hmm.
Then Harry Grant versus Brandon Smith. What a battle. I mean, we're talking about Brandon Smith, Dally M Hooker of the Year in 2022 or 1.
Mm-hmm.
Then it's Collins versus Welsh. Collins essentially took Welsh's spot in the Queensland side.
He's one of the premier front rows in the comp right now, Collins. No
Wong,
doubt about it.
Wong versus Lioro. Now, I'd put Wong probably ahead. You know what I mean? So when you really go through it.
Well, when you go head-to-head like that, Kempy, like it's a great point. It really is a good point. I think everyone's just looking at the sort of in general going, wow, the Roosters undermanned. They've lost another couple. You know, going down to Melbourne, tough ask. But when you actually break it down position by position and make it a man-on-man contest, it's really not that one-sided.
Yeah, it really isn't. And I actually think the Storm will be relying on their years and years built systems that know how to win finals footies to get this job done rather than just outplaying them with the roster they have on the field.
Yeah, and that's why I say that the danger that the Storm faces, like they're taken on the side that are bringing in form and confidence and belief. That you cannot deny that about the Roosters right now. Okay, because they've won 6 in a row and they've had to do it tough, right? Every week they've turned up in those 6 matches. They've gone, if we lose this game, we're gone. It was the same process last week as it was 6 weeks ago when the regular competition was still running.
Yeah,
they had to win all of those matches just to be a part of finals, and they've got through it. They've got through it last week, where I think many people watching the game were thinking, "Wow, this is the Sharks. Like, the Sharks are going to win this one for sure." But the Chooks again found a way. And you cannot, I don't know, you'd be foolish to say this is only going to be one result, and that's the Storm, when you're looking at that footy side that has a team boasting Tedesco, Kiri, Smith, Walker, and then you name those guys that are playing in the middle as well, that are playing such good football. Yeah, it's a really, really good point that you make. When you just go man-on-man matchups, like, are the Storm that much better?
Yeah, yep. It's going to be an incredible clash, and as I said, you know, a lot of people are saying, you know, that the Roosters have all these players out. They've got no pressure, whereas the Storm, and you know, I have to be honest here, I do believe. Okay, you look at last year and you go, all right, look, we're expecting the Storm. We're placing yesteryear's expectation on this current Storm side, which is always unfair. But if they go loss again, that'll be 2 years in a row that Melbourne Storm have gone loss in a final series. And the impact I think that's going to have on the club is pretty substantial, because it really, I don't think has it ever happened? Has that ever happened in the history of the Storm?
We had not, well, early days with Craig Bellamy, it did.
Yep.
And then through the lean years, like right in the height of the Storm success, were the lean years were 13 and 2014.
Okay.
Apart from that, like the Storm were playing pretty much nearly every prelim final, at least, Kempy, at least the prelim. But it'll knock the confidence. There's no doubt about that. And so the biggest thing for Storm is, I don't even think it's about the opposition they're playing. Sure, they're going to have to do a little bit of homework on a lot of, you know, a few of their key position players and some of the trick plays that they come up with. But I think the focus for Melbourne this week is, how do they get their game going again?
Yeah.
They scored 0 points against the Broncos, Kempy.
Yeah, wow.
0 points. The last time they were held to 0 in a finals match was 2008. That's a long, long time ago.
Yep.
A long, long time ago. So, you know, I think the focus for Melbourne this week has to be majority, like 90% of their preparation this week has to be, right, what is our game plan and how do we go out and execute that properly? How do we execute it as best we can? Because they were so far off the pace last week, it's not funny. Yeah, like you said, mate, yes, they had effort and they were brave, and you know they took a lot of punishment and all that sort of stuff. But when it comes to finals, mate, you need more than effort.
Yeah.
You need to play good football to win the big games.
Yeah. And you look at, it's easy to point at Munster, Hughes, Grant, and, you know, Meaney and go, okay, yep, they definitely didn't play as well as we would hope. And that's the obvious video session. We all sit down and we know that. But if I'm Storm, or I'm, you know, the coach of Storm, whatever, I'm speaking to my forwards and challenging them and saying, boys, do you want to get bullied again? Is that what this Storm is about?
Yeah. And I reckon Craig will challenge them about playing at home.
Yeah.
Playing at home in front of their home fans and not dishing up a performance like they did last week. Well, his comment after the game was like, it seemed like our team was introduced to each other in the dressing sheds before we ran out.
Mate, it looks like it. It seriously looks like it.
Yeah, so they won't want that one again. So
Yeah. I think as well, like if you're looking from a Storm perspective, and this is just outside looking in, I don't know the inner sanctum, but I would be challenging them. Say, boys, all the greatness that came before us and the honour of wearing this Storm jersey, are we really going to roll out at home and deliver what we did last week in this jersey that has, become one of the most prestigious jerseys in the country? Are we really going to do that in this jersey?
Yeah.
I think they've got to challenge themselves in that regard as well, because it was very unstorm-like last week.
It was. Now, one of our listeners, they've put it all on the line, Kempy.
Oh, no.
G'day, boys. If those Roosters full stop win this weekend, I will get a Roosters tattoo on my shaminda.
Oh, no.
Mark my words.
Oh.
The reptile. Tommy, please.
Words have been marked.
Write down the reptile's number. And if the Roosters get up, he will be getting a Roosters tattoo.
Oh, my God. Wow.
Right on the shaminda vase.
Maybe Craig could use that as motivation. Boys, we don't want him getting a rooster on his shaminda. Maybe that's the pre-game speech.
Oh, no.
Save this guy shaminda.
Oh,
my
anyway,
God.
well, there you go.
I love the confidence.
Can we please can we just jot that down, please, Tom? You got it? Yep, thumbs up. Tommy's
I've got it. Easy. Reptile's a big Rabbitohs fan as well, so he's been going the last 2 weeks saying Roosters are gone, They would never beat the Tigers. They won. Would never beat the Rabbitohs. They won. Would never beat the Sharks. They won. So who knows?
Well, how about I know. Yeah, that's not a punishment if Roosters win. Have you got a Roosters tattoo, Tom?
Yeah, I've got 2 actually.
What?
Yeah. So after, don't mean to bring this up, Cam, but after the 2018 grand final.
That's
wow.
all right. That's
Sorry.
all right. What? So you went back to back, 2018.
Well, so
19?
18, me and my good mate, I'll shout him out, Jack Coford, went to the Cross, and I've got the Roosters logo actually on my shaminda, funnily enough.
What?
Wow.
And then in 2019, all my mates asked us, what are you going to do if Roosters go back to back? Are you going to get another tattoo? I said, yeah, sure. So I got B2B here
Oh, my God.
on my shin,
What?
on the side of
Where
my
are
leg.
you?
It's on
I
the
didn't know
side.
where you were pointing then.
It's on the side of my leg. I'll send you a photo of it, Cam.
Oh
Yeah,
my
B2B, back to back.
Okay, here we go.
Oh, right.
The reptile is texting again. Okay, Kempy, if you think Roosters win, go back to agreeing with Smith and please cancel popcorn. You have been drinking your own supply. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Now, Smithy,
Yes.
before we head to a break,
Mm-hmm.
what does it mean for either club's season if they are to bounce out this week?
Well, I think Storm. That's it's not great for them, is it? Really? Like they finished top 4. They give themselves another crack, which was great. But particularly if they were to finish in that way, particularly with back-to-back losses, I think that they'll be pretty dirty on themselves, and I reckon they would say that that's a bit of a failed season for them, given where they put themselves in, finishing 3rd on the ladder. And I know it's been a bit of an up and down season for them, but I think to go out in that fashion wouldn't be great for the Roosters. You could probably look at it and go, well, is it a fail? Given there were many people saying at the start of the year that they were premiership favourites. When they looked at their lineup, they were premiership favourites, but they for the first 3 quarters of the season they didn't look on the same page at all. They didn't look like themselves. They didn't play like themselves. They looked like they weren't confident. They had no idea of really what they were doing out in the field until the last 6 weeks. If you just go on the last 6 weeks, Campy, like they've been very good. But if they were to bow out week 2 of finals, given where they were at the halfway mark or even the 3-quarter mark of the season, I would say they've done a pretty incredible job to get where they are now.
The only concern I have with the Roosters is if they are to make it, let's say they make a prelim, or they bow out this week. My concern is that the problems at the club will be patched over. We have to remember for most of the season, the Sam Walker, Keary 6 and 7 didn't seem to be working. There has to be a question of, even though Teddy has been really good this last 6 weeks, can he bounce back next year? I do believe he can, for sure. Then there's a question of Suoli'i. Does he get released to, another club or union earlier? Hargreaves, he's got another year. How do we fit Dom Young in? I do think that the Roosters still have to answer some questions regardless of how they go. Now, look, if they go and win a comp, it's like, okay, put me hands up. Totally wrong.
Yeah.
But if they bow out this week, I do still believe that they need to look at the issues in this roster. And also, I think that we know it's almost a normal thing for the Roosters to start the year slow and build into the season. I do think that needs to be looked at because they're giving themselves – it's just not – I wouldn't say too stressful, but basically if you don't make the top 4, you're giving yourself essentially no chance of winning the comp. Now, that could change this year, but that's the general gist.
Yep. Why were they so bad, though, mate? I think that's the thing they got to work out, and they got to ask themselves whenever it is their season finishes, when they do their review, sit down and go, what was going on in the first 3 quarters of the year?
I thought they were overcomplicating things. I thought that they
mate. Whatever it was, like the last 6 weeks, they've looked relaxed, they look confident, and they have belief in their game plan, in the way they want to play their style of footy. That's what they need to sit down and go, hey fellas, like, what was it that made it so hard for us to go out and play football and for all of us to look confused and not even really, on the same page or have an idea of what we're out there trying to achieve compared to the last 6 weeks?
Yeah.